Now I have the great honor of introducing to all of you Congresswoman Judy Chu. Congresswoman Chu is a leader who exemplifies advocacy and a tireless commitment to her constituents and to the AAPI community as a whole. Congresswoman Chu represents California's 27th district, which includes Pasadena and the West San Gabriel Valley of Southern California. On a personal note, I've gotten to see her speak many times now, and I'm always in awe of how hard she works for all of us. Please welcome to the stage Congresswoman Judy Chu.
Well, I am thrilled to be here today with the White House Initiative on Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders as part of your Act to Change campaign to end bullying. I am chair of the Congressional Asian Pacific American Caucus, or what we call KPAC, and addressing these alarming rates of bullying is an important priority for us. And in fact, our very own Congress member, the Chair Emeritus of KPAC, Mike Honda, is the founder and the chair of the Congressional Anti-Bullying Caucus. How about that? Now, I'm proud to be here today with so many distinguished Asian American and Pacific Islander community leaders and performers that are raising awareness of this issue and taking action to prevent bullying. And we have to. Nearly 30% of students in grades 6 to 12 in the United States have experienced some form of bullying. And for Asian and Pacific Islander students, the impact of bullying often includes cultural and linguistic components that range from one's immigration status to English language proficiency or even religious garb, as is often the case with American Muslim and Sikh youth. But not only that, a survey of 6th graders in California schools with predominantly Asian American and Latino students found that Asian Americans were the most frequently victimized ethnic group, regardless of a school's racial composition. What makes matters worse is when there's hysterical sentiment. And over the past week, we've seen plenty of that. We've heard toxic rhetoric pertaining to the Muslim community and Syrian refugees in the aftermath of the Paris attacks. And I bring this up because in the aftermath of 9/11, we saw a severe rise in the number of hate crimes committed against those that were American Sikh, Muslim, and in the South Asian community, who are often victimized just because of the way they look. In New York City alone, a 2008 study by the Sikh Coalition found that half of all Sikh students and 60% of turban Sikh students experienced bullying. They were called Osama bin Laden and told, "Go home, you terrorist." But you know what I say? I say we need to put a stop to this. No student should feel unsafe or unwelcome in their schools or communities. And that's why it's so important that we have the White House AAPI Bullying Prevention Task Force. And that's why it's so important that we have all of you here today to raise your voices as a part of the Act to Change campaign. In Congress, there are bills like the Safe Schools Improvement Act and the Student Non-Discrimination Act. These are bills that take action to prevent bullying and harassment in our schools. And I'm a proud co-sponsor of all of them. And as KPAC chair, I pledge to you that we in KPAC, our Congressional Asian Pacific Caucus, will be an ally in this fight to ensure that our API youth feel safe in their schools and communities. Because no American should fear being singled out or bullied simply because of the way they look, the way they talk, whom they love, or the faith that they practice. So let's work together. Let's put an end to bullying so that every student has a bright future in this country. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Congresswoman Chu, and it is, I think we can all feel very lucky that we have someone like Congresswoman Chu in Congress supporting campaigns like ours and really working to put an end towards bullying in our communities. One of the things that I feel like I've heard a lot of today and seen a lot of today is with people like Congresswoman Chu and Dr. Vivek Murthy and all the people on our panelists, on our panel, is a sense of breaking through barriers and being at a place against all odds. And as an actor, someone that I look up to a lot, someone who's broken through a lot of stereotypes and broken a lot of barriers, is George Takei. Oh my. And we were very lucky that George Takei also did a video in support of the Act to Change campaign, and I want to play that for you now.
I'm George Takei, and when I was a child, my family and I were taken from our home in Los Angeles and placed in prison camps for 4 years, simply because we happened to look like the people who bombed Pearl Harbor. I spent most of my childhood inside barbed wire fences with machine guns pointed at us. We were seen as the enemy, even though most of the 120,000 people incarcerated were American citizens. When the war ended, we went back to our hometown, but had lost everything and had to start over on Skid Row. That was even worse than conditions inside the camps. But what stung most of all was that my own elementary school teacher called me that little Jap boy. She bullied me with those words and ignored me in class. It stung. What had I ever done to her? Today I understand that she may have harbored deep resentment and bigotry toward me because of my race, and I forgive her for her terrible words and inability to be a positive role model. Indeed, I might have carried my experience in those camps and my treatment by my teacher like an albatross, but I refused to let it weigh me down. Instead, I've dedicated my life to ensuring that travesties of injustice, such as the Japanese American internment, never happen again. We must never forget and never again repeat such mistakes.
A lot of what George Takei talks about with the internment camps is something that you can actually get a firsthand look at and experience it here at the Japanese American National Museum. So make sure you check it out before you leave today. And George is huge on social media. I think he's got like 9 million Instagram followers or Facebook followers, something like that. So it's like a country. He has like a country following him. So before we move on to our next thing, I just want to remind you that please use the hashtag #ActToChange on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Periscope, on Snapchat. I don't know, what else do you guys use? I don't even know. But please use it out there, because even though you're here in the audience today, it's key that we get the message out to people all over this country. All right, we have